Scott and Carl come up to East Burrell. Tony. As you are aware, the town council and those in the audience, General Tony is part of the Cedar Lake Police family and Cedar Lake, town of Cedar Lake as well family with their towing service. Over 20 years of service as a gesture of our appreciation, we would like to present you with this plaque, sir. And Carl also, we read Cedar Lake Police Department recognizes General Tony, Scott and Carla Burrell, recognition and appreciation for over 20 years of outstanding service to Cedar Lake Police Department and to the town of Cedar Lake. We thank you, sir. Thank you for him also for always being there for us, always making sure that whether it was an accident or a rest scenario, we're always taking care of it.
Tow truck driver with the best smile, I might add, too. That's my one for the week, right?
You photobombing, Greg?
You don't want to ruin Scott's good smile there, Greg, by being in the picture.
We're gonna miss you folks. Don't be strangers. Don't get a sunburn.
Scott and Carla, thanks for all you've done for the town. Being on call 24 hours a day, responding to whatever the police department, fire department needed you to do. It's a tough job, and it never pays enough, but your dedication to this community has helped us grow, and we hope that in your next chapter of your lives, you find pleasure and peace and enjoyment and come back and visit us.
Absolutely will. It's been a lot of fun and made some very good friends. I enjoy everything.
Good.
In the interim, Ray and Wally's will be providing service for our towing needs. Okay, looks like we have a public hearing tonight. Ordinance number 1311, wastewater system development charge amendment. Mr. Austin.
Mr. President, council members, there's a special notification requirement for this particular item. This is a sanitary sewer rate proceeding that you're engaging in. You made an introductory reading at your last public meeting on the ordinance that you just referenced, ordinance 1311. Notification was provided in the newspaper to ratepayers on November 21st in each of the Times and the Post Tribune. Also, and pursuant to special statute, notification was provided to 174 extra jurisdictional customers, which is a statutory requirement. So I've examined the publications and the notice issuance, and they meet the requirements of the law. Public hearing may be conducted.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Niemeyer, can you provide us with a reading of ordinance number 1311?
Ordinance 1311, an ordinance amending town ordinance number 1248, being an ordinance amending town ordinance number 978, being an ordinance amending town ordinance number 926 of the Town Council of the Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, concerning charges for sewer services and all matters related thereto, repealing all ordinances and town code sections or parts thereof in conflict herewith, and all matters related thereto, repealing all ordinances and town code sections or parts thereof in conflict herewith, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you for doing that by its title only.
I made an assumption. Thank you.
I need that sometimes. Are there any remonstrators for or against the wastewater system development charge amendment? Any remonstrators for or against?
Mr. President, May I suggest just a very brief explanation from your
Sure.
financial advisor who's in the audience before you close the public hearing request?
Absolutely.
Thank
Sue?
you.
Good evening, I'm Sue Hayes with Longevity Group, LWG CPAs and Advisors, and we have proposed to you, the council, that we update the system development charge, which is not a general charge to your ratepayers. It is a growth, paying for growth charge, so anybody developing homes, businesses, whatnot in the town of Cedar Lake will be subject to this new rate. The methodology for this calculation was approved previously for the charge that is right now current at $2,200 per 5/8 inch, 3/4 inch line. So basically, we just updated the numbers in the calculation, and the charge for the equivalent customer, it's put in terms of a residential customer, which is a residential home, developing, would be $3,500, and that is inclusive of, let me restate that, the costs were restated, and it was in the engineer's study that of the west side interceptor, the east side interceptor, and all of the costs associated with this.
Sometimes I make an assumption that everyone knows what we're doing, and thank you for that description. As Sue said, we're basically trying to get to the point where the developers pay for the upgrades in the water system, and not the
This
ratepayers.
is wastewater.
Or with wastewater, with the wastewater system.
Mr. Austin, so that everybody's aware, under the law, we can't just come out here and pass an ordinance without going through our financial advisor, correct?
Law requires
Right. I
the
just wanted
encounters to
that
give us
lifted up.
the proper numbers and calculations and like. You have that here. It's in your
Right.
file.
Is there any town council discussion?
My recommendation for the effective date would be within 5 days, or 5 days after the notice of adoption is published in the newspaper. In an abundance of confidence, and I'm extremely confident, it may occur tomorrow, commencing the clock.
Okay. Is there a motion? Motion by Ms. Rivera,
Second.
second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
Julie Rivera. Yes. Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Greg Parker.
Yes, motion carries. Are we 6-0?
6-0.
Is there any public comment on agenda items only? Any public comment on agenda items only? All right. We have a consent agenda. We have minutes for the November 12th, 2018 special meeting and November 20th, 2018 public meeting. We've got claims, all town funds of $324,671.43. Wastewater operating, $74,018.81. Water utility, $7,066.39. Stormwater, $8,886.44. 2017 RDA A and B and C construction, $159,000. $159,076.64. Payroll for November 29th and 30th, 2018 of $169,819.75. Donations, trunk or treat, see attached, and VIP Summerfest, $1,100. What was the see attached for trunk or treat? Anybody know?
It's the second page.
There should be a listing of all the donations received.
Oh, I see. certificate, Field Museum gift certificate, Chicago Wolves gift certificate, Albany's Candy Factory 500 mini gummy bear bags, Fraternal Order of Eagles, number 2529, $50. Casey's General Store, 25 pounds of candy, Gateway Triangle Corporation, $100, Wahlberg Photography, $50, Nagy's Automotive, $100 and 3 bags of candy, and C&L Vending, 4 bags of candy. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera? Yes. Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes, motion carries 6-0.
Who made that motion?
I did.
Box.
Ralph made it, I seconded it.
Okay, resolution number 1229. I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. The ordinance number 1312, 2019 salary ordinance. Mr. Niemeyer.
Ordinance 1312, by its title only, Mr. President.
Yes, please.
An ordinance amending town salary ordinance number 1283, establishing jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Cedar Lake for the year 2019 and repealing all ordinances or parts thereof in conflict therewith.
Thank you. We've heard we have to have 2 readings on that, don't we, Jen?
This is the first,
Yes,
right,
this
Craig?
will be the first reading.
We've heard the first reading of ordinance number 1312. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Questions? First of all, I know it's not in there, but none of the town council is getting a raise. So we're not in there. And what are we going to do with the clerk treasurer? Are we going to make any adjustments to boost her up or?
Well, would it be proper to handle that at this time?
We could probably handle it at the next.
You have 2 weeks to talk about it, assess it.
Does the town administrator have a report or proposal on some of those specific items that might be out of the ordinary and changes within the salary ordinance?
Council, one of the things, this salary ordinance includes the 2% increase. If you adopt before the end of the year, those increases would go into effect with the first pay of the year. I had discussed that with your clerk treasurer, and we should be able to do that this year instead of waiting for the budget to come back from the state. If we have to make adjustments, we'll make those adjustments somewhere else in the budget for the departments. Additionally, we had made the change to your boards and commissions for the payment of $30 for each official meeting attended. Some of those boards and commissions may have more than one meeting a month, so they were only getting compensated for one meeting per month. So those such as Plan Commission, those commission members will get paid for the work session as well as the public meeting. So since they are advertised public meetings, that was one of the things we had noted on there. The other item was if you wanted a report on the clerk treasurer's salary. The clerk treasurer's salary is based upon certifications received, whether those, it's a clerk treasurer with no certifications, a clerk treasurer with the Indiana accredited municipal clerk certification, certified municipal clerk, a certified public supervisor, certified public manager. The CPS and CPM are intermittently classes that are available through Ball State, or the MMC, which is the Master Municipal Clerk. If you will remember, your former clerk treasurer had the MMC certification, so was on the highest level on the salary ordinance. So one of the thoughts was looking at that salary because your current clerk treasurer does not meet any of those certification requirements. And if you wanted to have a discussion on that salary, if you wanted to make any changes to it, would need to be adopted before the end of the year for those changes to take effect for next year. And that is by Indiana code.
With what you have here, it'd be a 1,600 biweekly, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
That would,
so that's what we're considering within this ordinance.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
None of the other certification levels, though, however, changed. That was just a change to the base pay. All of the other ones had the 2% increase as everyone else has.
Jennifer, do you intend to take any of these classes?
I have actually already begun to. It is anticipated that I will receive my IAMC next year, but that it wouldn't be effective
Until
you know,
next.
until 2020. But yeah, as I keep going along and attending the ILMCT Indiana League of Municipal Clerks and Treasurers conferences and educational training days, I gain credits towards the certifications.
And so that would only take, allow us to take you up to 1687.20, right?
Yes.
Correct, based on that salary
Yes.
ordinance. And if I could point out one more item, on the current 2018 salary ordinance, the hourly equivalent on the clerk treasurer is $18.28. And the chief deputy clerk's base salary without any certifications is $18.06. So there's not a lot of variance there on the wage. So I just wanted you to have that equivalent for your information.
Anybody have anything else? We have a motion and a second.
Greg, can I amend my motion to take the pay increase for the clerk treasurer that Jill had just talked about?
Sure.
Well, I think it's included in the ordinance, Ralph. It's
Okay.
included in the details of the ordinance that Jill just read off, so I don't know if you would need to amend it.
You don't, if it's already in there.
It's
just explain
included
The
it.
in
numbers
there.
are there.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
But it's not for the 1687, it's
For
for the
1600.
1600.
Correct.
And if we wanted to, we could and run it up to the next category, basing it on her completing that. But if she didn't complete it, we couldn't reduce it.
You couldn't,
Right,
it's betting on the come, Bob.
right.
Okay, your motion holds.
My motion holds, and if, as long as it covers it.
Your original motion, your second. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes,
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes,
Randall Niemeyer,
Yes,
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Greg Parker.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Item number 2, resolution number 1229, 2018 budget reductions. Jen?
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, confirming resolution 1229, a resolution to reduce current 2018 balances, reduce necessary expenditures, Form 4A, whereas it has been shown that certain existing appropriations now have unobligated balances which will not be needed for the purposes for which appropriated. It is further resolved that the following amounts be cut from the 2018 budget. I was able to find a total of $226,000 to cut from the 2018 general fund and a total of $61,000 from motor vehicle highway for a total of $287,000 in reductions.
Okay. Any questions for Jen from council?
I just have a comment while we have Sue here. And one of the things in discussion at the AIM conference this year, attending sessions with, I always forget the guy's name now, the director of the
Wes Bennett.
Wes Bennett. He suggested that towns adopt a zero-based budgeting practice. And it was something I've mentioned here before, and it's something that I'd like to see us work at. to change kind of how we do things here from a business standpoint to really help us grow this community and really have our department heads and everybody understand the cash flows and how all of this stuff should work from the bottom up, building those foundations. So I would like to see the council adopt that approach to this fiscally to assist the clerk treasurer and the town administrator and all of our department heads in the budgeting process, starting at zero base.
Mr. President, if I may, I have already begun those discussions with Bob Swintz of LWG for next year's budget, and Jennifer is aware of those conversations, so that is one of the things we're already looking at.
So you're gonna get your
So-
wish.
For 2020.
Just wanted
Good
to let you know
practices.
it's out there, so.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Niemeyer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp, roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
Julia Vera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Greg Parker.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. New business, item number 1, 2019 meeting calendar. Jill, can you give us an explanation?
In quick summary, this is your annual meeting calendar. There are some notice requirements for your Board of Zoning Appeals meetings. So one of the things we need to kind of get set is your meeting calendar for next year. We have not changed the day of the week times on any of them with the exception of Plan Commission. We did move that from the first Wednesday in July to the second Wednesday for the work session with the holiday of 4th of July. And it's in July, it's a little too much to try and have both meetings in the same evening.
I agree with that.
Me too.
When's July this year?
July.
The 7th month.
Coming up soon.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the 2019 meeting calendar?
Yeah.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Niemeyer, second by Ms. Rivera. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
Julia Vera,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Greg Parker.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Are there any town council reports?
Yes. I saw to look around and see if we have the potential to, I would like trying to see if we could utilize some of that money to make something like this happen.
Absolutely. The other thing we'll look at with NERC and the 3Ps is Cedars Creek Trail Corridor, as a lot of that property we have already acquired. Additionally, Mitch from NERC has reached out to find out some of the properties we already own or may own around the lake for the potential of a trail development.
So just, Bob, to clarify, is this the project that's been talked about for many years where a little extra half a lane of pavement would be added to Lowerman down to the south end around, what is that, 147th?
Yeah.
And then running along Morse to Lakeshore Drive and back around? Is that what that would be?
We tried to do this a long time ago. It was Charles Thornburg's idea.
Right.
And we didn't call it a bike or a walk path. We just called it a path, and we tried to chip and seal all the way around the lake, but that fell by the wayside, and I just like to try and get something going.
Yeah, if
again.
there's some monies available, that would be awesome to have something like that, a recreational path for people to enjoy the sights and sounds of the lake.
Then another thing, during my door-to-door campaigning out there, we may not have the answers for them, but I'd like to see us have a meeting with the people that are on the west side of the lake with the water system, and have a meeting with the people on the east side, like a town hall meeting, and just let them ask us questions. We might not be able to help them, but at least we can have a conversation with them out there to try and answer questions, because one of the biggest ones I hear is, why is the rate so high? And let's communicate with them. So I'd like to, somewhere in the near distant future, try to have a couple of town hall meetings with the residents.
What's the near distant future? What do you think? First quarter?
I'd say the first quarter.
Okay. Jill, can you kind of put that together for a calendar event?
And then possibly, maybe the one on the east side, we could have it at MacArthur School, and maybe the one on the west side at one of the Hanover schools.
If we're going to be talking about how rates are structured and why people pay what they pay, would it be good to make sure that we have our water utility superintendent as well as our financial advisor here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other town council
Yeah,
reports?
as long as we're going to be setting up meetings, we kept on having the discussion that we wanted to meet with the school board and with the trustees and that. I think that we should have Jill maybe start to schedule something like that, to put a schedule together. So at the beginning of the year, and that we can have that meeting.
You're working on that, aren't you?
I have a report. I received a call from a resident in Lindsway. Parish Avenue's been completed through there, and it's a great road. The north entrance of Lindsway, she complained, is a safety hazard to try and get out onto Parish because of how the turn lane coming northbound traffic on Parish, there's a center turn lane going into that north entrance of Lindsway that jogs the southbound lane to the west and forces the traffic due to the location of the trees and berm that's attempting to exit Lindsway, whether they're moving northbound or southbound on Parish, to have to get out into the middle of the lane. So I drove down there myself to look at it, and she is 100% correct. You have to nose the front of your car out onto Parish Avenue in the lane of traffic in order to see a vehicle coming in the southbound lane. So it's something, I don't know if it was something that was an oversight in engineering of how the lanes were striped. I didn't realize we were going to have a center turn lane for northbound traffic. I didn't realize that was that big of an issue. Usually with our subdivisions, we have a right-hand turn lane that goes into the subdivision. But right now, the traffic that's exiting Lindsway in the north entrance has to nose their vehicle out into the lane of traffic to see. So that's something I think that needs immediate attention. So Chief, if you could analyze that a little bit, maybe take a drive down there, as well as Tim.
I just looked at it today also, and
I probably received the same.
I mean, I think we're gonna have to eliminate those stripes and keep that as they turn into the subdivision lane. It is definitely, I mean, like I said, I was out there today too, and actually.
Yeah, you got to get to nose your vehicle in the lane. I mean, it's the only way to see.
It's definitely, and like you said, I don't believe there's enough traffic coming north to justify that turn, you know.
Yeah, I don't think there is either, but also in subdivisions like Lindsway and Centennial and others, I think it would be helpful as this community grows to analyze placement of stop signs as well. There are certain intersections that don't have stop signs that maybe should. I mean, that's something that will take some time to analyze. And I know we have an ordinance that would need to be updated for it, but I think it's worth looking into in some of the newer and older subdivisions that as traffic increases to take a look at where we place traffic control devices.
How'd it wind up that way, Tim? Is just the way the engineers did it, or?
Yeah, it was, they just striped it about a week and a half ago, and it was news to everybody that it was done that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just one of those, they did the striping and we were all like, why did they do this?
That was the first thought I had, was that center turn lane made no sense for northbound traffic. Because most of the people when they're coming home, if they're working in Chicago, are coming down 41 to 141st, taking Parish South.
Right. Or you would have turned in to the previous entrance
Right.
already before you got, you know, it was, I don't know why, I asked.
It had to be designed that way though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
must
in
have
the-
been
it's in the
designed.
plans that
I already had a phone call into Keys Engineering to see why that was, but I didn't get a chance to talk to them.
Well, I appreciate that you're already on it, and I say that needs to be addressed very soon.
Yeah, it'll be taken care of shortly.
Okay, thanks.
One other thing, the chamber is having their annual Christmas get-together this Thursday at 6:30. The town is a member of the chamber, so you're all invited at 6:30
Where's this at?
at the Great Oaks, and all you do is bring a side dish.
Okay, any other town council reports? Town attorney?
I'll report.
No smile there either. Clerk treasurer?
I would just like to publicly acknowledge our town administrator, Jill Murr. I've been transitioning to the office of the clerk treasurer for a little over 3 months now, and she has been extremely helpful to me on a number of items. And I just wanted to let everybody know how amazing she's been. And I thank her.
Thank you.
Consider yourself lucky. She gives the rest of us a hard time.
I was afraid what was going to be said, Jennifer, when you started that.
I will add to that if I may. One of the things Jen and I have worked on continuously is looking at the different things that you don't see every day. NIPSCO bills, telephone bills. Do we no longer have this street light or that street light? One of the things we looked at that you won't really see in your budget because it's a utility, but lift stations, we had NIPSCO analyze all the rates, make sure we're on the right rate structure. So some of those cuts you don't necessarily see. We see them. You might, if you read through every single NIPSCO bill, but we were able to save about $11,000 for next year by having them analyze the rates that we're on for the lift station. So it's some of those little things where we just have those conversations in the office that we're able to bounce off back and forth and go, wait a minute, we can save $100 here, or maybe we need to combine this. So some of those have helped with some of those budget reductions you saw earlier.
I'll echo Jed's gratitude and thanks for making everything smooth over there.
Thank you.
And the budget reductions and efficiencies. Now we're to your section. Any town administrator and staff reports?
I do. One of the things, we looked at with the High Grove project was that section that between Vermillion and the High Grove project called Highland. I believe it's 127th in that area, where we are having our engineer look at that and put together a design proposal for us. However, preliminarily, that came in a little bit higher than we thought for the amount of streets and work that we would need. So what we decided to do is move ahead with the survey work. So from the survey work, Don at Christopher Burke and Tim can kind of look at it and work on the scope for that project and then come up with the design and go from there. So where we anticipated kind of having a design agreement for you today, not going to happen today. We're waiting on that survey to come back so we make sure that we are most efficient in our design for that project and are able to put the money into pavement, not just engineering for that area. So that is still moving forward. It's just kind of behind the scenes right now. So in the coming months, you'll see that design agreement come in front of you for approval.
Probably the incline. There's steep grades over there.
Right. So
Mr. President, I have a question for the administrator. For some time, we've been working on some water utility items for the East Side Water Utility. Is there a report on that?
there actually is. We have been looking at that, and as one of the other items that you approved previously was an engagement agreement with LWG Advisors. Sue Jesus is here tonight, and looking at our system development fees. Again, growth for growth. So one of the things we're looking at doing is bringing the system development fee in front of the commission for an increase to that system development fee. And with your, thank you for asking, approval, it is anticipated we will put this filing in front of the commission on December 24th December 21st of this year.
Is there an item for consideration on this?
Yes, if you can amend the agenda to include authorizing the financial advisor in conjunction with our regulatory attorney and town attorney to move forward with the filing for the water system development fee for the east side. Again, this will affect future ratepayers. This is growth for growth. This is not a rate increase for our current customers.
Mr. President, I'd make that motion to amend the agenda to allow for
Yes, new homes.
consideration of the item as presented by the town administrator.
You have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Niemeyer, second by Ms. Rivera. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Randall Niemeyer?
Yes,
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes, motion carries 6-0.
thank you.
One other item to report is a couple council members shared with me a letter they received from a resident on Cedar Street and a public safety issue that may need to be addressed, and we will be reviewing that item. So I wanted to acknowledge that that written communication had been received for that area, and we will be investigating that for a solution. One of the proposed solutions to it was putting up some barriers. So we will be looking into that and be reporting back to you. I got this late last week.
I sent you that and I copied it.
Ralph did as well,
Yeah.
and several of us.
And the
received
gentleman
that.
sent it to me as well, and yeah, that, I'm glad to see that we're looking into
So I
a way
wanted
to
to
alleviate that problem.
acknowledge that that was received, and we will be looking into that issue as well. And if I could, if you don't mind, if I'll roll into your written communications, unless any other staff had another report that they wanted to bring up. Part of your Summerfest resolution is providing you with a copy of their annual profit and loss statement that's included in your packet for your information. I had reached out to June Cole about the resolution for next year and was informed she's no longer working with the Summerfest committee, so I was informed to reach out to Gordon Dixon. So I will be doing that by the end of this week to discuss the resolution as I had reported we'll start working on for next year's Summerfest. They had already requested dates, so this will formalize that. Christopher Burke's report, the ecosystem restoration project, the past two calls with Army Corps of Chicago had been canceled by Army Corps of Chicago. There is still no other movement or updates on that. MS4 coordination, working on those items as well as the various plan commission items that aren't necessarily reported in here. And then, while it's not in your meeting packet, our finishing out the month with our permits, new and alterations for the year. We have hit all new record for November with 32 new home permits and 1 commercial permit. Tech Credit Union will be coming in with a commercial value of, which way did she write this? 691,000? Does that sound right? Just for the building. And those 32 new home permits at 4.15 million. The other thing I wanted to report to you is of those 182 permits that we issued this year, 61 of those permits, so a third of them have received occupancy this year. So I can't necessarily say that they've been sold if they were new homes, but we looked at some numbers today, and one of the things we haven't reported back to you is how many of those permits issued in that calendar year have been closed out or finalized. So a third of them have already closed out within the calendar year they were issued. So I don't have a dollar value of those. Our system's limited in its reporting capabilities, but that's kind of pretty big that turnaround with 11 months in the year. A third of them are already finalized, so.
So if you took an average of 4 people per home,
Reporting on your alteration value of $5.3 million. So continuing to invest back into our community.
Okay. Is there any public comment? Doesn't agenda item this time. Any public comment? Merry Christmas.
John Capora, 12713 Morning Dove Drive. In reference to your wastewater ordinance you just passed, I just want some clarification. You have projects that are in process now, like Beacon Point, Lakeside, Summer Winds. All right, will this ordinance affect them that are in progress now?
It will affect anything that doesn't have a permit pulled on it, correct?
Every time a permit applicant comes into the town hall, this ordinance will impact them.
Okay, so that means they're gonna put a new house up over there, and on Lakeside, the builder comes in for a permit, and that affects them.
It'll be part of the permit calculation.
Right, okay. I don't know if that stuff was grandfathered in or not, because it makes a matter when you're sitting there, plan commission trying to decide what to, you know, approve or not approve, or what's going on.
No, it's going to go by the permit. If the permit's pulled already, they have the old fee.
Which was like, what, 2,200?
4,200.
Any new permit that gets pulled will have the new rate once it's adopted.
Okay, good, thanks.
Thanks. Is there any other public comment?
Mr. President, can I make one more announcement? Just a reminder that board and commission applications for 2019 are due December 14th.
Yes. Board and commissions applications are due by December 19th,
December 14th.
December 14th. Get them in. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we're adjourned.
I'm trying to think of her name. She has two teenage children.